As a seller, chargebacks suck. But what happens when you lose a chargeback? Is that it? Well, I want to talk to you about that here on the other side. So without any further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. And today I want to talk to you about yet another experience that I'm kind of dealing with. And it's regarding a chargeback. Now, I think I may have mentioned this on the live that like last week or a week and a half ago, a chargeback was opened against me. First chargeback I've had really in the last year and a half, like almost 2 years. In this case, the buyer simply didn't follow the entire process. We sent them a return label when they asked for a return. They had complained pretty much. They bought one of those shower chairs. Those, it had wheels and it has a little place where you can lift like the center part of the chair so you can use the bathroom if you just can't get up. We sell those quite often, as you guys know. So they received the item, and it was one of those open box, new items. The item inside was new, but the box was kind of banged up. And she had sent me a message stating that, you know, hey, not happy with this. And even though the box had a photo of the box and the condition that was in the listing, well, she still wasn't happy with the condition of the box. Now, no mention at all about the condition of the item. And I said, well, if you're not happy, I'll provide you a return label. Please open a return, which she did. And a return label was sent. And so 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed, and we're getting close to the date where she's going to have to send it back. Otherwise, the case is going to get closed, and I get this chargeback. Things have changed a little bit. And in the sense that eBay gives you more flexibility to defend yourself regarding a chargeback, like more photos. You can put up, I believe, up to 5 photos, and of course up to 1,000 words that you can type in to really make your case. Whereas before you were limited to 1 photo. And I came up with a little hack before how I was able to make that 1 photo work in my favor, simply using a Word document, MS Word document, and simply typing in my case and doing a screenshot. Now, I actually did utilize that tactic even with the 5 slots they give you for photos, because the 1,000 words, it's a pretty good amount, but it's not enough. I mean, if I was writing an essay, I guess it would be enough, but in this case, you know me, guys, I'm very detailed and long-winded, and that's just how it is. Now, I contacted somebody today at eBay, and I wasn't even contacting eBay for that reason, for the chargeback. As it turns out, a couple days ago, I received a negative feedback. And the negative feedback was for a buyer who wasn't happy. They received an item that actually got damaged en route and was not the same condition that I had sent it to them in. So it's quite possible it was damaged en route. And so they sent me photos, and I said, hey, you know, this is something that looks like it was damaged en route, but nonetheless, I'll go ahead and take a return if you want to go ahead and open the return. So that was it. Weeks passed, like the 45th day or so, they contacted me and said, hey, want to send this back? I said, I don't know what happened. I mean, you didn't ever reply back to me, but we take returns up to 30 days. And I stick to that policy, guys. That's just the way that is. I stick to that policy. Now, that was all I heard back. He never really said anything back. That was just the end of it. And at least I thought, until I received a negative feedback. Now, I went and used the eBay negative feedback removal tool, and I disputed the negative feedback, because the negative feedback said something to the effect of, seller sent me a damaged item. I contacted the seller, and I was away and contacted the seller when I returned, and it was too late. And they said that they couldn't take a return past 30 days, which is what the listing says. And the listing also is a contract. And I'm just a stickler to it, guys. This is the way I am, the way I run my business. Everyone runs their business a little differently. I am one that believes that eBay offers a very generous 30-day return policy, much more generous than Mercari and Poshmark. And if 3 days is enough on those platforms, 30 days is well generous, and I'm not going to take returns anytime beyond that. So I disputed it based on how the buyer is now disputing the policy that they agreed to when they bought the item. And, it's one thing for the buyer to say, hey, the item was broken. I guess there's no way to fight that kind of a negative feedback. But when their complaint is that they are upset because they can't return the item beyond 30 days, well, then that, according to eBay policy, is grounds to have that removed. Now, I put in to have it removed, and it came back with a denial. Okay, one of those blanket rubber stamp denials. So I decided, you know what, I have time. Let me call eBay and get the dispute department. Actually, it turns out it was the escalation department, and I think they're one and the same. And got the rep on the phone, very, very friendly gentleman from, I believe, the Philippines office. Let them know that my situation with the negative feedback, and he looked it over and said, I'm going to have to submit this to the back office team, but this should have been removed, not denied. And no problem, don't worry, you did everything right, blah, blah, blah. It was very, very friendly. And, when you get that rep on the phone, that's very, very, they seem to be very, very knowledgeable and very, very friendly and somewhat talkative, like they really actually seem to care about what they're doing. It's very rare these days, especially at eBay, but they still have them. You then think of, well, while I'm here with you on the phone, can you look at this situation? And that was the chargeback situation. Now, I know, and you guys know, that once a chargeback is filed, that's filed to the credit card company, that it's really out of eBay's hands. And eBay has to play the waiting game just like we do. They'll present the information that maybe the buyer has submitted to the credit card company and weigh that against the information that you've submitted through eBay, and then they make their final decision. Now, as you guys know, whenever a credit card charge is filed, and usually it's not filed as an item not as described, like eBay calls it, it's usually filed under a item doesn't match the listing type of reason. And whenever that happens, a lot of times people will lose the case because they simply just don't provide eBay enough information to back up their side of the story. So when that happens, though, and you provide sufficient information to eBay, and let's just say the credit card company sides with the buyer, you do have some seller protections, and this is within eBay policy. And I don't think enough people talk about this, to where you can be made whole and or have the $20 fee waived if eBay deems that your situation fits this scenario, which I kind of thought it did based on the wording of the policy. So I had asked this person a question regarding my particular situation after he had looked it over. He had put me on hold and looked it over and all that stuff. And he came back and he said that, I did everything right, this, that, and the other thing. And I kind of cut some of the recording out because it was really, really long. This guy liked to talk a lot. And for brevity's sake, I decided to just put it to the last part of the recording. And I thought you guys would enjoy just hearing the discussion that I had with the rep today, just to kind of get an idea of the situation that I'm dealing with when it comes to this chargeback.
Let eBay handle this dispute on your behalf. You did the right thing. You responded on the right time. So eBay will be the one who will escalate the claim, defend yourself with their financial institution so that the refund will not be deducted on your account. So what will happen here is you will still receive the sale of this on this transaction. You will still receive the whole sale or the total sale amount on this transaction. And if in any case that the buyer will receive his refund, it's either eBay will process the refund or their financial institution will process the refund for them.
So let me recap just so I know that I'm hearing you correctly. That I need to allow the process to take its course with the challenge of the chargeback, and then if something happens to where the credit card company finds this in the buyer's favor, then I simply would need to contact the escalation team again, and you guys will go ahead and put that money back into my account because I followed all the processes and based on everything you said prior, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, how do I get a hold of you again so that the problem is that many times we're told something by a representative and we're made to feel good about it, right? And then it actually happens, and then we call back and somebody else tells us that they can't help us. So how do
I
we go
see.
about taking care of that and not having a different answer?
That's actually a good question. Well, I can provide you the service reference number of this call. This is the record of this call and the record of the documentation that I put on your account. And just to make it clear, I'm not saying these things just to make you feel better, right?
No, no, no.
This is the policy and the process that we follow. Because, like I said, I'm one of the specialists here when it comes to dispute. So I know
Right.
each and every process and policy that we have. And even though there's no decision yet, I know what will be the outcome based on your response to that specific dispute. And upon
Right.
checking here, you did the right thing. You provided supporting documents, clear photos. That's a good thing. You accepted or you challenged the dispute the time that you received it. So that's a good thing as well. So everything is all set, to be honest with you. That's why I'm informing you that it's a win-win situation. Because most of our seller here, they want to be protected by eBay, but they're not willing to activate their protection. You know what I'm saying? That's why sometimes they lose the case or whatnot. But in regards to this dispute that you have, you did the right thing. You are the one who activate your protection, and since you activate your protection, then we will just proceed on that. Simple as that. If you want some assurance that it will be taken care of, or the next agent will tell you the same thing, I can provide you the service reference number so that they can just proceed on the process that I will do on this case so that you will not receive any other information if you will call us back in the future.
Right.
So do you have pen and paper with you, Jonathan?
I do, and before you give me that number, I just want to say that the reason why I said, how do I get a hold of you again, is because I hear what you're saying. You sound like you know what you're talking about. The problem is, though, I've made many phone calls and I've spoke to many folks in your department, in the dispute or escalation department in the past, and to be honest with you, they're not as most are not as knowledgeable as you are or have been in this particular situation. And I run the risk, once this thing closes, if it doesn't close in my favor, it closes in the buyer's favor, then I'm going to find myself having to try to get a hold of you again. And chances are I'm not going to get you again. I'm going to get someone else. And unfortunately, I seem to trust you, but I don't know if I can trust just a random agent helping me, because I can tell you, and I don't know if you've heard this before, but I've been let down many a times by a representative that has good intentions, but they tell me one thing and then I call back and something else happens.
I see. So if you want, I can also file a complaint about that with regards to the false information that you received from our teammate from your previous concerns.
Oh no.
So that once they saw the complaint that you have, definitely they will, proceed on your specific protection. Because like I said, everything is all set now. You did the right thing. You don't need to do anything else.
Okay. No, I want to spare you from that, because if I gave you every single time I was told incorrect information or promised a callback that never happened, you probably would have to ask for overtime to get through the call. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go there. What I'm saying is, if you could just document that we had this call and what you told me, I can, and then I'll take reference to the number you're going to give me. I'll write it down so I can follow up with it. That would be helpful, so that the next representative understands where I'm coming from and that I talked to you already. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's nothing to worry about this specific complaint. The main reason why we need to file this complaint, it is because for us to avoid those teammates who's providing false information and not willing to assist you even though they can assist you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I will put on the complaint form that most of the time you receive a different information from different teammates. Some would say you were protected, and some would say you were not protected, or they can protect you no more, or whatnot. So that once you call us back, they will do the right thing, because I cannot blame you, because we don't have control to other teammates if they will assist you or not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we don't know what kind of teammate is that. Because there's a teammate that willing to, use their time to assist you even though there's no option with us. And there's also a teammate, even though there's an option to assist you, they will not assist you. You know what I'm saying? So it's best if we will document this one on your complaint form as well, for us to make sure that it will be taken care of and it will never happen again once you call us back. So just let me know if you're ready.
Yes.
For the service reference number, and then I'll take care of this.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time and helping me with that situation. So that's the gist of the conversation. That's how it went down, and we left just kind of thinking that it may be found in my favor, but then again, I've been disappointed by eBay many a times. For those of you who watch this channel for the longest time will know that I have learned that I can't, even the best agents, I can't trust 100% what they're telling me. Not that they don't know what they're saying half the time, because I think this guy kind of did have an idea what he was talking about, but just the follow-through side, when you, as I told the representative, I might be getting him today, but I might be getting someone who doesn't care tomorrow, and that's going to make a big difference in the outcome. So, and I think a lot of you guys might say, well, why are you wasting your time? This, that, and the other thing. Look, guys, again, if that is a concern to anyone out there, I do have a channel. If I didn't have a channel, I probably wouldn't make half the phone calls that I make to eBay. But in this particular case, I had a feedback that I was wanting to dispute, and I thought, you know what, it would be very interesting to see what eBay would say about my situation as it pertains to seller protection. And eBay seller protection does give eBay the ability to make you whole as a seller. The idea that the buyer is not going to follow through with eBay's process, the return process, it's not good faith, guys. And while buyers do this all the time, where they keep the item and claim that it's not the same item as the item that they bought, if we stand up for ourselves as sellers and follow eBay's process with photos and that 1,000-word essay, eBay's going to do what they can to try to help us win the case. I think we think of eBay a lot of times in a negative light with all the stuff that's happening with their website and all the lack of communication that we receive as sellers. But I think that they do the best that they can when it comes to things like chargebacks. And while I have a perfect record fighting chargebacks, this may be a situation where I lose this time. And seller protection is set up to where if you do the things that you're supposed to do, the right things, then eBay is going to, more often than not, because they still screw up on the phone side when you contact a rep, more often than not, they're going to have your back. And I know a lot of people also say, why don't you just deal with eBay for Business? And for me, eBay for Business is one of those things where I've had experiences where they don't get back to you for 2 to 3 days. And sometimes they don't get back to you at all. And that's been my experience, which is why I stopped using them a long time ago. Not to say it's a bad way to get your situation resolved, but for me, I just prefer to get that instant fix, or get someone on the phone that I can talk to and have them document the record while I'm on the phone with them, like I did in this particular case with this representative. So I guess we will find out. But I want, and I'll give you guys an update as to what happens here, but I just want you guys to kind of get a peek into kind of what I deal with when I talk to a representative, and just to get an idea of how these kind of transactions go. But you know what? Trying to handle a chargeback and trying to win one and then try to dispute the result after a chargeback happens is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you to check out one of these videos right here. Don't forget, we have a live stream today at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see you there, and we will talk to you very soon.